Hey guys, it is Saturday here on PaganPerspective. I'm your Saturday host Brendan, and this week we are talking about the practice of using remains, both human or animal, within our practices and our thoughts on it. So this week's topic comes from Danni. You've probably heard it multiple times this week from all the fantastic videos that everyone's put out there. I'm just kind of wondering what I have left to say that hasn't already been said this week. Yaka and Megan both had amazing videos this week, and same with everyone else. Like, it's just been a solid week of unpacking this topic, really. And for me, yeah, I think looking at what Danny's put out there for us about our thoughts and feelings about using human or animal remains in ritual practice, and looking also at the article that's come up from the Wild Hunt, and I think talking about the article, I think it was handled incorrectly for the witch or person involved in, the witch and person involved in the whole entire scandal, I want to say. I think the way the bones were collected, the way they handled and what they were using it for, I think also just the follow-up and everything else there, it was just all poor choices, and yeah, just not good choices on that person's behalf. And I think for me personally, I wouldn't ever use an unknown person's bones for any ritual practice or ritual work at all. There isn't a deep married connection to them. There isn't that soul connection or work connection, or even a physical connection. And also you don't know how the person's died, you don't know any of the history, any of all that information, especially from what was said in the article. They were washed up from this grave, so it wasn't even you knew which grave the person, it came from, which person's bones they were. So there wasn't even any sense of knowledge. There was completely mystery, unknown bones that were being used. And for something that, if I do any of that cursing, hexing sort of work, for me it's very much about, it's me. It's about my energy, my essence, my work. I don't take energy from anything else. It's about something that I have to work through, and I'm responsible for all of the outcome for that work. So it's very much about a conscious choice there, that if I do engage in that practice and those works, it's me solely that's doing that work. I won't call on any of my allies. I won't, well, that's not a complete lie. There will be certain deities that I may work with that have a nuance or affinity for that kind of work, but it's always conscious work, it's always thought out, it's never done in anger or rage. It's more a conscious practice of art and work, and often most of my curses and hexes now have transformed into healings and blessings, and it's really about, it was mentioned in the tradition, the Wildwood tradition that I belong to, from a couple of different people, blessed with the same strength that you would curse with, or the same force that you would curse with. So if you wish to curse someone, take a moment, think about it, and really look at what needs blessing or what needs healing, because often that kind of work may look at personal things we're going through. We might be envious of someone, we might be angered at someone because of what they've done to us, or in reality it's a time to stop, reflect, and really process through what we're going through and look at ourselves in that. And then that's a whole nother topic that we've got into, but in relation to the use of remains within ritual work, I do have a couple of collected skulls from native possums that I've found in the area and region that I live within, and they are ally work that I do with local spirits of place. So I've gone through particular practices and traditions with people that are deeply ingrained within the local law and tradition, and have blessed me with and taught me knowledge with that allows me to connect in more of a way than would previously have been available to me. And the possum was one of the creatures that, or allies, animals, that has really revealed itself as my work within that land, and a familiar spirit, I would say, in that. And these skulls came to me via means of finding them. They were really, well, finding the corpses of the animals, really, and going through the whole entire process of allowing the flies and the maggots to take and decompose all the meat. I then buried all of the bones in, well, I think I have 2 skulls and a couple of vertebrae, and burying those into the gardens that I work with my plants and everything in, and constant attention and work for that. And then when I do work with those magical receptacles, allies, they seem to be very much like spirit homes to those familiar spirits that I will work with, and I honor and revere them whenever I do any of that work, just as like my body is really my spiritual home, my spirit home, essentially. And it's just that kind of relationship that I have with that. And if I do any ancestor work, it's generally, for me, it will be involved within myself. So it'll either be, if I'm connecting to ancestors, it might be a drop of blood, it might be the hair, it might be some spit. All of that holds my genetic legacy. And to connect back to where I've come from, those strands and tendrils are all within that. So it's very much deeply rooted within my human body experience, and I connect with all of that. And I think feeding back into the topic that we covered about looking at like our dietary habits and all of that sort of stuff, and I spoke about when I'm eating meat or plants or anything like that, the blessings that I place over them. So honoring where they've come from, the energy that's gone into their life essence, my consumption of their life essence, and then my life essence being consumed by others. And I think that really feeds back into what Yaka spoke about in their video about that life feeding death and death feeding life process, and that really we're in a constant flux of death and life at the same time. Constantly within our body, things are dying and renewing and being reborn and living and dying. And I think it's just that we, as living beings, have that legacy of life and death and transformation and transition, and that constantly we're just dying as we go, but we're also living at the same time. And I think that's mostly it. I can't think of much else to speak about this week. I did love this topic, and had like things that I like thought about, but then really kind of went through all the videos this week, and just people covered it a lot more, a lot better than I could. As you can see, my words don't want to work today, but they were more eloquent and perfect in their presentation of that I allowed space and give honor to that. So yeah, I hope everyone is having a wonderful weekend. For us, it's the weekend before our massive Beltane celebration that we have, and so next weekend we'll be parading and ritualing and partying, and it's all going to be fantastic and wonderful. And to those in the Northern Hemisphere that are coming into the cooler months, may you all have a blessed Samhain, and may the spirits of your ancestors be strong and true. And for those that are also celebrating Beltane, may life flow well, and may joy fill your days. And know that, yeah, in both of those celebrations there is that aspect of death and aspect of life, that knowing in Beltane, coming together and celebrating life, that there is inevitably death, and that with that honouring of death, without that death our life wouldn't be here. And it's that beautiful cycle and balance of life and death, yet again. But yeah, that's it for this week. I will see you next week. But for now, much love and blessings, and have a beautiful weekend. Mwah!